Hi, this is Congressman French Hill, and we're in the Capitol today, and it's a delight to have my good friend Randy Veach with me, who's president of Arkansas Farm Bureau. And Randy's in town this week with his colleagues talking about trade on Capitol Hill. This is a hot economic policy topic here in Washington because President Trump has decided that we're going to get serious about reciprocity on trade with our trading partners, whether they're in Europe or in China, that we're going to get better market access for our goods and services, again, particularly in China. And he's taken a number of steps. He's initiated Section 301 under the Trade Act, efforts to punish China for stealing intellectual property, which is something we've talked about since I worked for President Bush 41. That was a top issue. He's initiated steel and aluminum tariffs for national security purposes across the whole industry and across many countries in the world. And he has initiated really an escalating tariff challenge. And so I thought it would be great for us to talk today about the impact on Arkansas, and with you representing the Arkansas Farm Bureau, get your perspective on that. And I'll try to give some perspective from talking to Arkansas's manufacturers and how steel and aluminum tariffs have been working. But let's start out and say, Randy, tell us about the impact of China's retaliation against the U.S. as we try to get tough with China and get them to change their policy.
Well, I think we see that Canada and Mexico and then China are our three largest ag trading partners.
Right.
And we certainly, they're huge markets for us, all three of them. And China is a really huge market for our soybeans and pork and fruits and vegetables and nuts, and it's all, pretty good markets over there. But some of the first effect that we saw, because they know how they import about 60% of the soybeans that's exported around the world. And so in Arkansas alone, one out of every 3 rows of soybeans would be sent to China. So that's why and pretty well all of these trade disagreements, we see those other countries attack agriculture first because they know how big it is in the United States. So we see those retaliations there coming from into the ag sector and soybeans. And at the end of June, when before they actually even was implemented, China canceled 366,000 metric tons of soybeans, which is over $100 million. So you can see how that's affecting agriculture and the prices that we're getting for our commodities.
So the price is down, and we've also lost sales so far in this.
That's right.
And then, of course, our farm industry right now is not in good shape price-wise. So our farmers have been suffering, which is why Congress has worked hard to pass a new Farm Bill authorization, which we've passed in the House, and it's now passed the Senate, and we're planning on a conference. So I think the Congress is pretty sensitive about this. But this price reduction and sale reduction comes at a bad time for our farmers.
It certainly does. And we're probably going to really need a good safety net. Our farmers and ranchers are going to need a good safety net when all this is over. According to how long this goes.
Right. What do you think about how long it might go, and what do you think agriculture wants in terms of market access and change in behavior from the Chinese? What should be the expectations? What should be the wish list for that?
Well, we'll see, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be months.
Okay.
Plural there, months before this is ever settled. Hopefully, it'll be quicker than that, because the farmers and ranchers, it gets September and we start harvesting, August actually, and through September and all the way through, we're going to be harvesting, and those prices are so low, it's going to be difficult to make a profit. And that's stacked on top of that since 2013 and through 2017, we've lost 52% of the net farm income.
Right.
To our farmers. So now you're stacking that on top of it with the lower prices. Soybeans have dropped $2 a bushel, and that's $1.50 at least below that break-even price. So you can see how that's going to be. And then a lot of our livestock people, they're being affected too. China imports a lot of pork, and so our hog farmers are going to be affected and already are being affected, and we see those prices continue. And we're seeing at the same time, we're seeing fuel prices increase.
Right.
Our input prices are continuing to go up, and we see those increasing. And so with the loss of income and then a higher input cost, we're going to see some of our good farmers that aren't able to withstand this. And it's a very difficult situation for us.
Well, we've all pressed the administration to press hard and get results, and I think that's where Congress is, and that's our obligation. But what do you think that the Trump administration should achieve on agricultural market access into China, for example? What would be a real benefit coming out of this short-term conflict?
Well, I think almost everybody would agree that China has not been a good player when it comes to the WTO and those agreements.
Right.
And we think that, we need to address those. We need to address those.
And you think this dispute should go through the WTO?
Well, I think that it would be a better format. Now, I know that that's a long, drawn-out process, and sometimes you don't get the results that you need and that you're looking for.
Right.
But I think that, we need to address that issue in that way. And we need to make China, abide by the rules when it comes to trade.
Yeah. Let's turn to NAFTA quickly before we lose you here in the Capitol, and thanks again for coming by. President Trump has also been trying to modernize NAFTA, 23 years old, maintained a good free trade arrangement between Mexico, Canada, and the United States. Canada and Mexico are our biggest trading partners in Arkansas for both ag product and non-ag product. So what are you hearing on NAFTA?
Well, I think that our farmers and ranchers are concerned about Canada's agreement with Canada, agreement with Mexico, and an agreement with China.
Right.
We're looking at a perfect storm. When the loss in net farm income and the input prices going up, and now commodity prices going down, and so it's a really difficult situation. But we have to have a good trade agreement with Mexico and Canada, but our transportation is really low. It's right here. It's a ready, great market, and they need it as well as we do. Now, one point I want to make in all of this, even with China and what's going on in Mexico and Canada, is that when we lose some of these markets, a lot of them won't be temporary. China and Mexico and them, they're going to start buying soybeans and other commodities like from Brazil and Argentina. And so some of those markets we may never get back.
Right.
And that's all, the whole thing out there. It's just a quicksand, really.
Yeah. Well, we're pressing here in Congress for a quick outcome on NAFTA, and we're certainly hopeful for the president making progress on China so that it minimizes the impact to our consumers who pay higher prices, to our farmers who have a tough income situation, and to all of our intermediate goods manufacturers that make things here in America but have some imported content. And thanks for sharing your views and helping all of us understand the impact on the farm economy of this trade negotiation that's at the heart of the trade and economic policies in the Trump administration.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about our state's largest industry and our great farmers and ranchers that's in our state.
Proud to work with you.
Me too.